In terms of supporting Look After Children, there's both a very powerful moral case and a business case.
As a parent, if my child went to university, I would try and give them as much financial support that I can. These children deserve the same.
I got expelled from school at 16 and that was the end of my education for quite some time.
The moral case, well, over a third of people sleeping rough today are ex-looked after children.
Only 6% of care leavers end up going into higher education.
Over a third of the people in prison today are ex-looked after children.
And higher education is there as something that can, help you further your future. You are statistically more likely to go on and get a higher paid job, for example.
But what about the business case? The extraordinary costs to society of children in care, but also the extraordinary costs when they leave care.
But also it's a life experience, it's an invaluable life experience.
What would happen if we could cut that prison population in half?
One of my friends, he asked me, why do you study so hard? I said, I would like to go to university and get education and get a good job in the end. And he's like, no, that's not possible. I was in here and I had no visa, nothing was happening in my life.
I think that the university outreach projects are worth it, because even if you just plant a seed in one young person's mind, you could actually change their lives.
And his message really hurt me, and I feel like why I can't do it. That really admired me. I was like, what is it that everyone can and I can't? I even start working harder.
One of my kids went to a weekender.
An activity that you put on that really does light that light bulb for them.
And I've just never seen him buzzing so much than when he came back. He just walked up to me and went, I know what I'm going to do, I know where I'm going to go, I know what college courses I've got to do, I know what GCSEs I've got to get. Cass, this is the best thing in the world, I'm going to uni.
And it wasn't just about being at university and learning, it was like the life experiences that you get when you're at university.
And he was so animated and it was so beautiful to see him. I mean, he was literally bouncing with excitement. This is quite a cool 14-year-old boy.
It drove me to work my ass off while I was at university.
And yet we lost all of that coolness because something so wonderful had happened to him at his weekend.
In terms of having separate or bespoke events for children in care, or young people from care background, I know there are different schools of thoughts on whether that's a good thing or not, in terms of whether it's inclusive or whether it creates something kind of separate.
I remember many years ago first approaching our Vice-Chancellor and asking if we could offer a scholarship for care leavers. And I remember very, very distinctly the conversation where he said, yes, of course we can, but what else can we do?
Cohort of children in care is very small, and so something different does need to be done.
I receive a lot of support here. If you need any help about, for example, if you like to speak to someone, or if you like to make a friend, or you would like to have counseling and stuff like that, so they all support you and guide you.
We particularly like to target the families and families of foster carers and carers of young people, and we do this from really quite a young age.
I'd probably say that whereas it sounds a little bit counterintuitive and creating something separate might be seen as further marginalisation of the group, I'd probably see it in the other way.
And it's to get them involved. They're a group that get to know each other, they feel supportive, it becomes like a big family to them.
They do have different requirements and they do have different needs. It's not about making them feel different. By including them in the general, it's actually being exclusive because their needs are different, so you have to address it differently to put everyone on an equal playing field.
The feedback that we have from young people about those events, the fact that they can feel comfortable, they can talk to a peer group who shares some of their experiences and shares some of the kind of frustrations and barriers that they may have faced, also, and indeed some of the successes, I think is a really powerful thing, and it gives a certain amount of kind of support and confidence to feel you're not alone in that situation.
It builds up that confidence of coming into a university, finding out what it's about, getting involved in activities, and we find that they absolutely love it. We introduce them not just to our own university, but the other universities in the North East.
And this enables the children in care and the care leavers to understand what different types of universities are available.
They desperately need to be shown, and our young lady is the prime example. You know, if it wasn't for her going on a residential, they wouldn't have an A-star student that they have now. So please give them a chance, they're great.
They can come out of that with wonderful views on life, wonderful strengths, and children in care in universities will enrich the diversity in a university just as children from any other vulnerable group will do so.
We have seen some hugely successful care leavers come through this university. I think of a young lady that we had who graduated about a year ago with a first-class degree in early childhood studies and is now going on to do teaching qualification. She can bring that empathy, that experience, that maturity. I mean, we often find that young people that have been care experienced are so much more mature and so much more considered and committed to their studies.
I think some universities don't work with care leavers because they just don't understand them, and they just think they're too much of a challenge rather than actually taking the time to get to know them.
Care leavers can be sometimes seen as young people coming with a lot of baggage and issues that can put institutions off a little bit, if I'm being quite frankly honest.
I'm assuming my local authority had just written me off the education book.
But we need to celebrate. We have wonderful young care leavers out there, absolutely extremely talented young people.
And just thought, well, Adele will never approach us again. Wrong.
She didn't think she can do anything but art. She is out of this world. She got an unconditional offer at the university when she showed her work. They looked at her background, but then they also saw her work. She works so hard. She is the perfect student. She never has any time off. The work's always on time. She's the best student you can have, and all because she was given that opportunity. So they're not going to skive and what have you. Potentially they could be the best students that they have.
And I have just finished an integrated Masters of Business, which is an integrated BA and MA altogether. It took 4 years, and now I have a level 7 MA.
Now I have proved them wrong that you know, if you put your mind in it, it's hard work, but it's achievable in the end.
From my experience, universities work really well collaboratively in widening participation, particularly on this agenda when working with children in care and care leavers.
At the end of the day, what we should be looking to achieve is that every child and young person that goes through our care system, when they turn into an adult or they enter adulthood, they're able to reflect back and say that the network of support that they had, be it from local authority, university, whatever, really inspired them and aspired them to achieve their full potential.
And I couldn't be more grateful to them. They've turned his life around. I mean, we do the base work, but actually what they've done is they've really given him that inspiration that he needed to go, yeah, I can do this. This is on a plate for me if I want it.
It is our duty to be positively encouraging equality across education and across vulnerable groups.
By having these events, you can actually change that young person's life when nobody else can.